Mama is still out there. The children cried, but the guardian dog refused to let them go. The evening sky burned gold and violet when the quiet world changed. Mac Harrington, once a soldier, now just a tired engineer, walked the dirt road toward his small home. His German shepherd, Rex, stayed close at his side, ears relaxed, tail swaying, content after a long day. Mac liked silence. Silence meant peace. Silence meant no blood, no orders, no dying. But peace is a fragile thing. A white flash tore across the sky. Sudden, blinding, violent. Rex stopped walking, his muscles tightening. The flash became a fireball, falling fast, too fast. Then came the impact. Boom! The ground shook so hard Mac nearly stumbled. A shockwave hit his chest. Birds exploded from the nearby trees, screaming into the sky. Rex barked, sharp, alarmed, confused. Mac didn't hesitate. "Come on, boy." The soldier inside him woke like it had never left. The crash site smoked behind his workshop. A sleek shuttle, silver, elegant, clearly expensive, was half buried in his vegetable garden. Panels hung loose. Steam hissed. Sparks snapped. Mac approached slowly. "Hello?" he called. No answer. But Rex suddenly lowered his head and growled. Not at the ship. At the house. Mac followed the dog's gaze. In the soft soil, leading away from the wreck, were two sets of tiny footprints. Bare feet. Small. Fragile. Not human. Mac's hand moved to the pistol at his hip. The quiet evening was no longer quiet. The door to his home creaked when he opened it. Nothing looked disturbed. Tools on the work table, coffee cup from the morning. Schematics spread on the counter, everything normal, too normal. Then he heard it, a soft, terrified sound. A whimper. Mac moved slowly around his worn leather chair. Two children huddled together, clutching each other as if the world was ending. But these were not human children. Their skin was light blue, soft-looking, with a faint glow like moonlight on water. Their hair was silver white, braided with care. Their eyes were icy and bright, watching Mac like frightened animals. They held stuffed toys, worn from love and fear. Mac slowly sat on one knee, lowering himself to their level. "Hey," he said softly. "You're safe. I won't hurt you." The children didn't move at first. Then the older one spoke, her voice small and trembling. "Our mama is still on the ship." The younger one nodded, tears shining. "She told us to run." "Before they come," Mac's breath caught. "Who's coming?" Rex suddenly snarled, low, deep, dangerous. This was not a dog's warning bark. This was violence waiting. Mac stood slowly and moved to the window. At first, he saw only smoke from the crash. Then, movement. 4 figures in black armor, masks reflecting the dim light. They moved like trained soldiers, clean, silent, deadly. They carried weapons shaped like long spears but crackling with energy. They were not searching, they were hunting. One pointed to the house. Rex growled louder. Teeth bared, fur raised high. Mac whispered, "This wasn't an accident." The children looked at him, shaking harder. "They want us," the older girl said. "They say we belong to them." Mac's jaw tightened. His past rose in him like a storm. No, not again. He refused to watch the helpless suffer. Not in his home, not on his land, not while he was still breathing. He turned to the children, voice calm but strong. "What are your names?" "I am Siri," said the older child. "She is Neri," said the younger. He nodded once. "My name is Mac. This is Rex. We protect our own here." Outside, boots crunched gravel. The soldiers had reached the yard. Rex moved to the door, ready to fight to the last breath. Mac placed a hand on his dog's head. "Easy, boy. We think before we act." But inside Mac's chest, something old and unstoppable was waking. A part of him he had tried to bury. The warrior. The engineer of destruction. The man who once walked through fire and didn't stop. He checked the pistol. Steady hands. Calm breath. The peace was over. For the first time in years, Mac Harrington was going to war, not for a country. Not for a general, Not for glory, for two scared children, and that made him more dangerous than any army. End of part 1. If you think this was intense, wait until you see what Mac does next. Part 2 is where the war truly begins. Part 2. The Hunter's Close. In the night settled around the house like a heavy blanket. The lights inside flickered softly, but the darkness outside felt alive, shifting, breathing, waiting. Mac Harrington stood perfectly still, his hand gently resting on Rex's back. The German shepherd's muscles were hard as stone, his eyes locked on the door. His growl was no longer a warning. It was a promise. It was the sound of violence ready to happen. Behind Mac, Siri and Neri sat close together on the floor, holding their little stuffed toys like shields. Their ice-blue eyes were wide and shining with fear, but there was something else, too. Hope. They were watching Mac. They were believing in him. They didn't know humans very well, but they had picked the right one. Outside, the armored figures moved in slow, perfect formation. Not rushing, not sloppy. These weren't raiders. These weren't thieves. These were professionals, hunters. Mac lowered his voice to a whisper. Girls, listen to me carefully. Siri lifted her head. Neri held her breath. If anything happens, Mac said, you don't run. You don't scream. You go down there. He pointed to the hidden floor panel, disguised beneath an old rug. Rex will go with you. Understand? The girls nodded. Small, frightened, but brave. Mac nodded back. Good. He had seen terrified soldiers freeze under fire. These children were doing better. Mac moved into his workshop, only 3 steps away through a narrow hall, while Rex stayed to guard the children. The workshop smelled of engine oil, metal dust, and memories. Tools hung neatly on the wall. But Mac didn't reach for a wrench. He headed straight to the security console. The screens flickered to life. The cameras outside displayed black shapes moving like shadows. Mac switched to thermal vision, and there they were. 4 heat signatures, cool-blooded, not human. Moving slow, careful, surrounding the house. Mac whispered, Vexari. Damn, he had known of them. The Vexari Authority, cold laws, no mercy. A species that believed in control, not choice. So they wanted the kids back, not because they loved them, because they owned them. Mac's jaw tightened. He had seen this before. In another war, on another world. Powerful people deciding who gets to live and who gets to be used. Mac leaned closer to the screens. One soldier knelt near the crashed shuttle, scanning. One guarded the main path. 2 were approaching the house. Their weapons glowed faintly, not bullets, not lasers, ionized stun spear rifles. Designed to capture, not kill, they were taking the kids alive. A cold chill slid down Mac's spine. Alive. For experiments. No, not happening. Mac returned to the children. Rex stood protectively, teeth showing now. Siri spoke first, her voice small. They will take us. Mac knelt in front of them. He looked into those scared, shining eyes. No, he said. The word came out like steel. No one is taking you, Neri swallowed, her voice trembling. Mama said, the bad men. They say we belong to them. You don't, Mac answered. You belong to yourselves. And I'll make sure it stays that way, Siri blinked at him. No adult had ever said that to her. Most adults told her what she was. Mac told her what she wasn't. A tool. A product. A weapon. A soft sound echoed outside. Gravel. Footsteps. Closer. Rex snapped his head toward the door. The children squeezed each other tight. Mac rose slowly, his pistol now in his hand. He didn't aim at the door. He just waited. Waiting was a skill. Waiting was power. The footsteps stopped. Silence. Then a voice, cold, metal, unfeeling. Return. The subjects. Human. You are not authorized to interfere. Mac didn't. Answer, Rex growled again. The voice came. Sharper. We will not harm you if you comply. Mac felt something deep inside him. Something buried under 10 years of war. Wake up, not rage, purpose. Took 1 step closer to the door. His voice calm, controlled. Lethal. Come get them. Silence. Not fear. Surprise. for the first time. The hunters realized this was not a frightened local. This was not prey, this was a human who had seen war and survived it. The Vexari made their second mistake. They opened the door. The door swung inward, and Mac moved first. He grabbed the nearest soldier by the arm and shoulder, using the alien's momentum to slam him into the doorframe. The armor cracked. The soldier stumbled. Rex launched himself from behind Mac like a bullet, teeth flashing, straight for the second soldier's arm. The alien screamed, dropping his weapon. Mac fired one shot, clean, precise, hitting the first soldier's helmet. It didn't kill him, but it knocked him hard enough to send him crashing to the floor. The third soldier shouted something in an alien language, harsh, clicking syllables. The children covered their ears. Mac grabbed the fallen ion. Rifle rolled, fired, a blast of blue-white. Energy hit the third attacker, square in the chest. He fell. Hard. The house became quiet again, but not peaceful. The battle had begun, and somewhere out there, their mother was still alive. Part 3. The mother in the wreck smoke still curled from the wrecked shuttle as the night deepened. The world was quiet again, but it was not a peaceful quiet. It was the kind of quiet that comes after violence, the heavy silence that waits for the next move. Inside the house, Siri and Neri sat huddled together beside Rex, who stood guard like a statue of living muscle and teeth. The German shepherd's fur was still raised. His breathing was steady, but his eyes were sharp, alert. He was ready for another fight, if it came. Mac Harrington stood at the door, pulse rifle in his hands, staring into the darkness outside. His breath was slow. His mind was cold. War mode. The mode he had tried to bury for years. The bodies of the Vexari soldiers lay where they fell, stunned, tied, and unconscious. Mac never killed unless he had to, but tonight, he felt they might force him. He turned to the girls. "We're not done," he said softly. "There are more out there. And your mother. She's still in that ship." Siri's small voice trembled. "She told us to run. She told us to hide. She said she would come for us. She didn't come," Neri whispered, tears rising. Mac knelt in front of them. "No, she couldn't. She's hurt. Or trapped. But she is alive. I can tell." The twins looked up at him with eyes full of fear and hope. "How?" Siri asked. Mac pointed to Rex. He didn't growl toward the ship. "Only toward the soldiers. If your mom was gone, he would know." "He always knows." Rex huffed softly, as if agreeing. Neri wiped her eyes with the back of her small hand. "You will bring her back?" Mac didn't hesitate. "I'll bring her back." He checked his rifle. Tightened his grip. "Rex, guard." Rex did not move. He simply shifted one paw slightly closer to the girls. Message clear. If anything comes in this house, it dies. Mac slipped out into the cold night. The crashed shuttle glimmered faintly, firelight reflecting on twisted silver metal. The air smelled of burning circuits and alien coolant, sharp and metallic. A broken control panel flickered weakly, giving the wreck an eerie glow. Mac moved carefully, eyes scanning for movement. He knew how soldiers hunted. He had been one. He knew that where there are 4, there are usually 6. A soft sound, a faint gasp. Mac froze. It came from inside the shuttle. He moved closer, climbing over a bent support beam, stepping over shattered glass, ducking beneath a dangling cable. The inside of the ship was dim and filled with smoke, but not enough to hide footprints on the floor. Small ones. Children's footprints, and larger ones. Not soldiers, a mother. "Hey," Mac said softly, voice steady, voice safe. "I'm Mac Harrington. Your daughters are with me. They're safe." There was silence for 3 seconds. Then a voice. "Soft but strong. Step into the light where I can see you." Mac did. A shape rose from behind a fallen panel, blue-skinned. Slender and beautiful, though pale with exhaustion. Her hair was shorter than her daughter's, cut close and practical. She held a small blade, not a weapon of war, but one born of necessity. Her eyes matched the girls', ice blue, bright, fierce, and filled with fear. "You are human," she said with disbelief. Mac nodded. "Yeah, last time I checked." She didn't smile. She scanned him. "You are not authority. You are not with them. No," Mac said. I'm not with anyone. She let out a breath, shaking, relieved, but did not lower the blade. My daughters. Are they truly safe? Yes. He said it like a promise. Because it was. The blade lowered. Her knees trembled, and Mac stepped forward quickly to catch her before she fell. She did not fight. She was tired. So tired, my name is Avery, she whispered. And the authority will not stop. They will come again. They will come in greater numbers. Mac supported her weight easily. His voice was low, certain. Then we moved before they regroup. Avery shook her head, panic in her eyes. No, you do not understand. The authority does not want us because we escaped. They want us because we are... Her voice broke. We are weapons. Mac looked at her. No shock, no horror. Just anger, hot, slow, deep. He had seen children used as tools before. On Earth, on other planets. Different uniforms. Same cruelty. He had made himself a promise years ago. Never again. Avery watched his face, expecting fear. But what she saw instead was resolve. Mac's voice was calm, solid, unmoving. I am not afraid of them. Avery looked at him, surprised. Then something else. Trust, real trust, that rare kind of trust born in the middle of danger. She whispered, help me stand. My daughters need me. Mac lifted her gently but firmly. We go together. Behind them, deep in the night, a distant engine roared. Searchlights. More troops. They were coming. Mac didn't look back. Stay close, he said. We're running out of time. Avery held his arm. Rex raised his head. Inside the house, ears sharp. The twins stood. Up at the same moment, something was changing. This was no longer escape. This was the beginning of something bigger, something dangerous, something human. Part 4. The Truth of the Children. The night wind howled through the broken shuttle as Mac Harrington guided Avery across the rubble-strewn yard. She leaned on him for support, her steps uneven, her breathing tight. The crash had taken its toll. Inside the house, the moment the door opened, Siri and Neri ran toward their mother with small cries, tiny voices full of relief and pain. Mama. Avery dropped to her knees as the twins collided with her, wrapping their small arms around her. She held them close, eyes closing tight, as if afraid that releasing them meant losing them again. Rex circled them once, then sat guard beside the door, watching, waiting, listening. Mac didn't interrupt. He just stood there, pulse gun lowered, exhaustion and adrenaline still warring in his chest. He had seen reunions before. On battlefields, after chaos, after loss. But something about this one felt different. It felt earned, fragile, dangerously precious. Avery whispered into her daughter's hair, her voice shaking. I told you. I would find you. I promised. Siri's small voice trembled. The bad men came. But Mac and Rex helped us. Avery looked up at Mac then. Really looked. This time her eyes did not show fear or confusion. They showed recognition. The kind that only happens when someone saves what you love most. Mac exhaled, steadying his voice. We don't have long, Avery nodded, pulling her daughters closer to her sides. Yes, I must explain. The house was dim, except for the soft glow of a lantern Mac lit. The broken door had been barricaded with a heavy tool chest. Outside, movement rustled in the dark. They had moments. Not hours. Avery stood slowly, still holding each daughter's hand. You must know why they came for us, she said, her voice low and steady. Mac crossed his arms. Listening, Avery took a breath. I was a lead scientist for the Vexari Biological Authority. They tasked me with creating a new way to control war. Her eyes flicked to the children. Pain lived there. They wanted soldiers who required no training, no fear, no hesitation. Born already perfect for victory. Mac's jaw tightened. He had seen governments try similar things. He had seen how it always ended, Avery continued. I did not design weapons. Her voice cracked. I designed life. I wanted to heal, not destroy. But the authority changed my work. They changed. My children. Siri looked up at her mother. We're not normal, she said softly. Neri whispered. We dream the same dreams. We feel the same feelings. We think together. Mac knelt beside them, gentle but serious. What else can you do? The twins shared a glance, like a silent conversation. Then Siri reached out and touched Mac's wrist. He felt it. A warmth. A presence. Like someone quietly looking through his memories. Not taking, not controlling, just understanding him. Neri spoke, calm and clear. We feel truth, Mac. We feel your truth. You don't want to fight again, but you will. Because you protect people, even when it hurts you. Mac froze. The room felt heavier. He didn't respond, but he didn't have to. Siri continued. That is why Mama said to find someone good. We found you. Avery bowed her head. The authority calls them E-series prototypes. They believe the girls can be used to control armies, or destroy them. Their blood can bond with certain neural compounds. They can make soldiers obey without question. Mac's stomach twisted. Mind control. Avery nodded. Yes. If the authority gets them back, they will turn my daughters into... She couldn't finish. The room was still. Then Mac spoke. Clear, quiet, strong. That's not happening. Avery looked up at him, voice trembling with disbelief. You don't even know us. I know enough, Mac said. You didn't want this. You ran. You're fighting for your children. That's all I need to know, Rex barked once, sharp, warning. Everyone froze. Mac moved to the window, outside, down the path leading to the city. Lights, searchlights, 4 ground vehicles. They were moving fast, not stealthy this time, not hunting, coming to claim. Avery's face went pale. They brought a recovery squad. Mac didn't hesitate. Rex, pack. Rex sprinted toward Mac's workshop, grabbing a tactical satchel in his teeth. Something they had practiced more times than Mac could count. Mac turned to the family. We're leaving now. Avery held her daughters close as Mac opened the floor hatch. A narrow passage led into the workshop, then into the old emergency tunnel system Mac had built years ago. The twins crawled in first. Avery followed. Mac paused at the top. He looked back at his home, quiet, warm, peaceful. He had built this place to escape war, and war had come anyway. He didn't slam the hatch shut. He closed it softly. A goodbye. Rex waited at the far end, tail stiff, ears forward, ready. Mac whispered to him, Let's show them what a human and a dog can do. Rex growled low. Outside, engines roared closer. The hunt wasn't over, it was just beginning. Part 5. The escape into the wilds. The ground vibrated as engines roared closer. The lights outside the house grew brighter, sweeping across the yard like hunting eyes. Dust rose, metal clanked. Orders were shouted in sharp alien language. The Vexari recovery squad had arrived, and they weren't hiding anymore. They believed the twins were already theirs. They were wrong. Mac Harrington dropped into the narrow tunnel, pulling the hatch shut above him. The darkness was thick and cold, smelling of damp rock and old earth. But Mac moved confidently. He knew every inch of this tunnel. He had dug it himself, by hand, in the first year he lived here, just in case. Rex trotted ahead, guiding the way. His paws made soft, sure sounds on the packed soil. He knew the route, too. Avery crawled behind Mac, holding Siri and Neri close. The girls clutched their mother with one hand, and their stuffed toys with the other. Behind them, the house door was kicked open. The echo thundered through the ground. Mac didn't stop. He didn't look back, because this time he wasn't running for himself. The tunnel opened into Mac's workshop. The moment they crawled out, Mac sealed the entry hatch and shoved a heavy engine block over it. The workshop was dark except for the faint glow of emergency lights. Avery was breathing fast. Pain. Exhaustion, adrenaline, Mac. Where are we going? She whispered. He grabbed gear fast. Bags, water packs, weapon cells, survival blankets. To the Draken Wilds, he answered. The authority won't follow us far in there. Siri blinked. Why? Mac slung a pack across his back. Because the wilds don't care who you are. Avery understood. The wilds were dangerous, untamed, unmapped. A place where survival depended on instinct, not technology. something humans were very, very good at. Rex barked once, warning. Mac froze. Then he saw it. A red targeting laser slid across the workshop wall. They found them. Mac flicked a switch on the wall. A hidden panel slid open. Inside it, a matte black six-wheeled terrain rover. Engine silent. Frame reinforced. Built for bad roads and bad days. Mac threw the rear door open. Get in. Avery lifted the girls inside, then climbed in after them. Mac moved to the driver's seat. Rex leaped into the passenger side, teeth bared, watching the door. The workshop door exploded inward. Shrapnel scattered across the floor. Vexari soldiers stormed in, helmets glowing. Rifles raised. Mac slammed his hand down on the ignition. The engine whispered to life, not loud. Not roaring, just ready. Hold on, Mac said. The rover shot forward, straight through the back wall. The wall shattered into splinters and dust as they burst out into the night. The rover's wheels tore across the ground, throwing dirt into the air. Siri and Neri screamed, half fear, half thrill. Avery held them tight. Rex braced himself, muscles locked, eyes sharp. Mac drove straight toward the wilds, behind them. The Vexari scrambled into their own vehicles. 3 pursuit craft fired up their engines, dust clouds rising behind them like storm waves. Bright white searchlights cut through the darkness. Avery looked back. Fear rising again. They are gaining on us. Mac didn't respond. He didn't have to. Rex barked sharply. One single sound. That was enough. Mac twisted the steering wheel hard and skidded into a narrow canyon path. The rover scraped stone on both sides, metal ringing and sparks showering the dark, but the Vexari couldn't follow so easily. Their larger vehicles slammed into the canyon walls. Grinding metal, wheels slipping, not built for rough ground, Mac muttered. Siri peeked over the seat. You knew this path. Mac smirked. I know every path. They broke out of the canyon just as the first signs of dawn touched the horizon. The wilds stretched in front of them, towering stone spires, twisted rock arches, fluorescent trees that shimmered softly like they were alive. The air tasted different here, sharp, wild, untamed. Avery looked around, whispering, It's beautiful. Mac shook his head. It's dangerous. Stay close. Follow my voice. Don't wander, Rex growled in agreement. The rover rumbled deeper into the wilds as the sunlight rose. For the first time since the crash, they had breathing room, but only a little. Avery rested her head back, exhausted. Siri and Neri curled against her, safe for now. Mac finally allowed himself to breathe. But then he saw something in the distance. Dark shapes moving in the mist, too tall to be trees, too smooth to be stone, not Vexari, not human, something else. Rex saw them too. His ears dropped. His tail stiffened. A low, uneasy growl rose deep in his chest. Mac tightened his grip on the wheel. The wilds, he said softly, do not welcome anyone. Part 6. The wilds do not forgive. The Draken wilds were not quiet. They breathed. The strange forest around them glowed softly with blue-green light, every leaf shimmering like it held a tiny star inside. The air felt thick, alive with something ancient, something that watched. The rover rolled to a stop beside a massive twisted tree. The trunk bent like a spine, the branches like claws reaching to the sky. Rex stood at the open door, posture tense, not afraid but ready. Siri and Neri clung to Avery's arms, eyes wide at the glowing plants and shifting shadows. Mac stepped out first, scanning the ridgelines, the cliffs, the tree lines, the sky. His hand never left his rifle. He had survived deserts, trenches, frozen moons, alien jungles. But the wilds? The wilds felt like they were remembering him. Avery stepped out beside him. Her voice was soft. What is this place? Mac didn't look at her. His eyes stayed on the dark horizon, a place where smart people don't walk. He glanced down at the twins. Stay close, stay quiet, and don't touch anything that glows. Siri and Neri nodded fast, gripping each other. Avery frowned slightly, studying Mac's face. You've been here before. Mac didn't move. Didn't blink. Yes, there was a story in that word. A heavy one. Avery didn't ask yet. She didn't need to. Not yet. They moved deeper into the wilds, the glowing trees lighting their steps. The ground was soft and covered in moss that pulsed faintly like a heartbeat. Siri stopped suddenly. "Do you hear that?" Everyone paused. At first there was nothing. Then, click, 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 slow, sharp, repeating. Rex's ears shot up. His growl came low and deep, vibrating the air. Mac whispered, "Run!" They didn't question, they ran. Branches whipped past. Moss slipped under boots. The clicking grew louder, closer. Something was following them. Something fast. Avery stumbled. Mac grabbed her arm before she fell. The twins stayed between them, hands locked together, their breaths quick and shallow. Rex turned his head once, teeth showing, prepared to stay behind and fight if needed. "No," Mac hissed. "Rex, with us!" The dog obeyed, but his growl never stopped. The clicking became howling, and then the wilds answered it. The glowing trees dimmed, like they were hiding. The entire forest seemed to exhale. Then, through the mist, a shape. Tall, thin, wrong. Creature with long insect-like limbs, skin like stone and bone, and glowing orange eyes. A draken stalker. A predator that didn't hunt for hunger. It hunted for territory. Avery's voice was a whisper of horror. "It's beautiful." Mac shook his head. "No, it's death." The stalker moved, a blur, closing half the distance in one impossible leap. Mac grabbed a flare from his belt and struck it. A burst of fiery red light burned against the dark. The stalker screeched, a sound like metal tearing, and halted. It hated fire. Good. Mac didn't hesitate. "Keep running! Don't look back!" A very lifted Siri. Neri ran beside her. Rex ran between them, guarding their flank. Mac backed away slowly, flare raised high. Rifle ready. The stalker mirrored him, slow, deliberate, calculating. This wasn't a wild animal. This was a hunter who liked the game. Mac spoke under his breath, not to the stalker, but to himself. "I survived worse than you," the stalker hissed. Mac threw the flare into the underbrush. The forest lit up in red fire, crackling across the moss. The stalker screamed, a terrible, echoing sound, and retreated into the smoke. Just for now. Mac turned and sprinted. They burst out of the forest into a narrow canyon of black stone. The air felt cooler here, the ground solid, the light dimmer. The twins collapsed into the soft dust, breathing hard. Avery knelt beside them, holding them tight. Rex sank down beside Mac. Exhausted but alert, Mac stood still, staring back toward the glowing forest. Avery watched him. "You've been here before," she repeated softly. Mac didn't look away from the trees. "I was stationed here during the war," he said. "Before I left everything behind. Before I tried to forget, what happened?" she asked, voice gentle. Mac's exhale shook. "My unit got lost in the wilds for 9 days. We thought we were being hunted by Vexari scouts. We were wrong," he paused. "There were 12 of us when we entered. Only 2 of us walked out." Avery's eyes softened, not with pity, but with understanding. The girls watched him, silent. Mac finally turned, eyes dark but steady. "I didn't bring you here because it's safe." He looked at each of them. "Mother. Daughter's dog. I brought you here because this is the one place where the Vexari cannot control the world around them." Avery stepped closer to him. "So we survive because the wilds are worse than the authority." Mac nodded. "Once, yes," Siri whispered. "Then we survived together." Mac looked at her, small, brave, brilliant, and a slow, real smile touched his face. "Yeah," he said quietly. "Together." Rex barked softly. The wind whispered through the canyon, and somewhere in the wilds. The stalker screamed again. It was not giving up. Not tonight. Not ever. Understood. The final part must feel powerful, emotional, cinematic, and unforgettable. Part 7. Humans don't run. The Draken wilds were silent. Too silent. No wind. No birds. No distant howls. Silence like the world was holding its breath. Mac Harrington stood at the mouth of the canyon, rifle in hand, boots planted firm. Beside him stood Avery, holding Siri and Neri close. Rex stood at Mac's side, fur bristled, teeth bare, ready to tear apart anything that came near. The forest. Behind them glowed softly, beautiful and deadly. The twins weren't crying anymore. They were watching Mac, waiting to see what he would do, because somewhere deep inside them, they already knew. Humans don't run. Lights appeared on the horizon. Not many. Only one. A single authority command vehicle hovered across the canyon floor, slow and steady. Like it wasn't hunting, like it already owned everything here. The hatch opened. A tall Vexari figure stepped out, wearing a long armored coat, helmet shining with cruel silver patterns. Director Krell, the one who ordered the twins created. The one who called them property. The one who wanted to turn them into weapons. His voice carried smoothly across the canyon. Human. You have caused unnecessary trouble. Mac didn't lower his weapon. Didn't move, Krell continued, calm and certain. Return the prototypes. We will not harm you. This is your final offer, Ciri flinched. Neri held her mother tighter. Avery's voice shook with fury. They have names. They are not yours. They never were. Krell tilted his head. They belong to us by design. They were engineered, constructed, purpose-built. Mac took one step forward. No. The word was simple. Quiet. But it hit the air like a hammer. You don't get to decide who they are, Mac said. Krell didn't react. Human emotion, he replied. Predictable. Irrational. You believe protecting them makes you noble. It only makes you doomed, Mac's jaw tensed. You made children and called them weapons. That makes you doomed, Krell raised a hand. Energy gathered. A signal to fire. Mac didn't wait. He moved first. The authority soldiers barely had time to react. Mac grabbed a flare from his belt, snapped it to life, and threw it behind Krell. The burst of bright red fire lit the canyon wall, distracting the soldiers and forcing their helmets to auto-adjust. 1 second of blindness, that's all Mac needed. He fired 3 shots, precise, controlled, no. Wasted motion. 2 soldiers dropped before they even understood they were hit. Rex lunged at the third, slamming him to the ground with bone-breaking force. Krell stepped backward, calm but focused. You think you can defeat the authority alone? Mac didn't answer, because he wasn't alone. Ciri and Neri stepped forward. Their eyes glowed, soft, silver light, not bright, not violent, just full of truth. The soldiers remaining froze. Confusion hit their minds. Their movements slowed. Their hands shook, because the twins were not just weapons. They were connection. They projected one pure thought. We are not yours. The soldiers wavered, for the first time. They hesitated. Krell hissed in anger. Stop! Stop them! He raised his weapon and aimed it, not at Mac, at Avery. Mac moved. He didn't think. He didn't plan. He just moved. The blast fired. Mac shoved Avery aside. The energy bolt hit him instead. His body hit the ground hard. Rex barked. A sound of pure heartbreak and fury. Ciri and Neri screamed. Avery dropped to her knees beside Mac, hands shaking as she touched his chest. No, no. Stay with me. Stay, Mac breathed in. It hurt. But he smiled anyway. Hey, he whispered, voice weak but steady. You're safe. Avery's tears fell fast and silent. Krell aimed again. Rex growled low, ready to fight alone. But the wilds were not finished. From the glowing trees came a sound. The stalker. The creature Mac had driven away earlier. It stepped out of the shadows, towering, terrible, alive with hunger and rage, but it was not looking at Mac. It was looking at Krell. This was its territory, and Krell had entered without permission. The stalker leaped. Krell didn't even have time to scream. The canyon echoed with a sound that made the twins cover their ears. Then, silence. Again, the creature vanished back into the glowing trees. Avery held Mac's face in her hands, eyes full of fear. You protected us, she whispered. Mac managed a soft laugh. That's what humans do, he said. We protect what matters. Ciri and Neri knelt beside him, placing their small hands on his chest. Their glow softened, Warm, peaceful, healing. Max. Pain eased. His breath steadied. Avery leaned her forehead against his. "You are not what I was taught about." "Humans," she said softly. Max smiled, tired but warm. "No one ever is. Not until you meet them." The sunrise crept over the canyon, touching the world with gold. A new day, a free day. Rex lay down beside Mac, head on his chest, guarding him still. The twins curled into their mother's arms. The war was not won forever. The galaxy was still dangerous. But today, they had each other. And that was enough. End of story. If you enjoyed this video, like this video, subscribing, and clicking the bell icon to stay updated with fresh content every day.